I've been asked here today to talk about our implementation of NationalMap. I'm saying NationalMap as opposed to Terrier.js. Bill differentiated before about the sort of the thin layers on top. Our implementation is very, very similar to NationalMap. It uses a lot of the same data sets. It uses a lot of the same look and feel, and that's quite deliberate. As we go through, I'll sort of tell you a little about the process we went through on this. We started this process earlier this year looking to replace our current Google-based mapping system. We couldn't upload our own data to our mapping system. We had to get the vendor to do it. We couldn't make changes. It was looking dated. It was time for a change. So I set about assessing all the various options out there. I spent many hours using test downloads of things, and it was at Locate that I stumbled upon NationalMap and had a good chat with Kevin and the team, and some of the things around the roadmap back then were particularly of interest to us. In the Parliamentary Library, we do a lot of analysis type jobs for clients. Tell me more about my electorate, tell me more about this, tell me where these people are, tell me where I rank. And I've got two people from my team here today. Make me an incredibly amount of maps to tell us a small, tiny piece of information. We're making paper maps, and we get requests for 20, 24 maps at a time for someone because they want to see what the particular voting patterns in their electorate were or where particular age groups are. This doesn't make sense in 2015. There has to be a better way of our clients getting access to this sort of information and using their new computer literacy to help do their own analysis. So we wanted a tool that we could basically pump our data into, let people do their own work, and if they want more information, if they want a pretty map because they've worked out what they actually want to see, then they can ask for one. We'll be slightly less harsh when we tell them that's how it works. Another thing, we want non-mapping staff to be able to map their data. It shouldn't be up to a specialist GIS person to make a map for someone. In the library, we've got skills. We can use Excel very competently. If we know the numbers of something by SA2, why can't we just turn that into a map? And one of the things, the CSV Geo stuff in Terrier is fantastic for this. If we know how to create a file with certain parameters, we know how to make a map. We wanted to tie in better with our current systems. We've got a intranet with tons of Excel files loaded on it because that's the way that we work and we've worked. It suits us fine. Our clients seem to like that. But we want to be able to tie those files back to maps. We don't want to say to someone, if you want to see this spatially, log out of this system, log into this system, put your username, put your password, browse to here, click on here, download this, change this. That's not cool. We want to link. We want to be able to link someone straight out of our Excel-based website into our mapping program, and it shows them the map they want, and it's obvious to them how they have to go about making the changes, changing the variables. And we want it to sort of sit alongside the other stuff we do. Fancy picture stuff. ParlMap is, it's available only to our clients. So it's deployed on our internal network. Parliamentarians, their staffers, the committees, and the teams in the House of Representatives and the Senate can access it. It's not for public access. It won't be available to the outside world. I know that's a crying shame for all of you because you think we've got really cool stuff. We don't, actually. We use 95% of what we do is public data. We occasionally change it and modify it and make it more suitable for our audience. We tailor it, be it election results, census data, education, employment, health, social security, all those data sets. We know what our clients want, so we quite often lift the public data and just change it, maybe create a Commonwealth Electoral Division version of it. Maybe we add certain variables in, take certain variables out. We just wanted a mechanism for deploying this to our clients. As I said, it's an implementation of NationalMap, same underpinnings. We'll build our own data catalog so that all of our data sets will be available, and we're using a combination of the CSV Geo stuff and GeoJSON data sets. I think we can get away without even having to host the GIS server to do it, which is an administration overhead that we don't have to worry about. We've have engaged, or in the process of engaging, NICTA to do this for us. They'll host it, support it, maintain it, and we'll just use it, basically. That's the plan. Our clients will use it, they'll love it, and they'll be able to access primarily our data, but all the public data currently available on NationalMap and data.gov.au will be available. So if our client's particularly interested in mine leases in Queensland or acid sulfate soils in Tasmania, they can browse through and get that to put up alongside their election results. It's a slightly weird combination. The reasons we chose NationalMap, the census is an awful lot of what we do for our clients. And we looked at .stat, we realised that .stat was a very good way of disseminating information, but getting that into files and into a system, our current system is unnavigable to get census data out of. .stat and the link to .stat from NationalMap is a real benefit for us. It gives a very easy browser. We can control what comes up by default. If our clients are particularly interested in males versus females, they can make that change very easily. The share links. If a client calls us and wants a map of something, we can make them the map in ParlMap and email them the link. We don't have to tell them how to do it. We don't have to guide them through it on the phone. We don't have to print a map. We can do it, email it to them. We can make 2 or 3 for the 2 or 3 things they want to do and send that through. It's massive for us. We can store these links to certain maps. We can put them in posts on our website. We can do, likewise, our clients can do the same. If they want a map made of something that analysis they've done, they can send us back the link and say, can we make a map of this? We know what they've used. We know how they've done it. CSV Geo is an incredible tool, and I advise everyone who makes any kind of files with data in Excel to have a look at CSV Geo. If you've got a latitude or a longitude column, if you use statistical boundaries of any sort, you can make your map very easily. Access to federated datasets through the NationalMap datasets that are up there already, I've talked about. We've had long conversations with Bill and the team at NICTA, now Data 61, about the future roadmap and discussions about what's happening, what's down the track. And if you're good at browsing GitHub issues, you can really see what's going on. And that augurs well with some of the stuff that we want to do and where we want to go and where we want to take this. I've talked about our Google-based solution, and we've all been reading about Google, so I'm sorry. Part of the conversations we had with Bill was about some customizations we were looking for on Ontario.js, some specific things that we wanted to do, and it's part of the open source thing. We've got this product, we're getting this product, we want something different. These are the things that we think will enhance our product for us, but they'll enhance the product for everyone. And it's part of the giving back thing. I'll point out that we don't have a massive budget. We don't have much of a budget. So this has been a good exercise in what we can do and getting value. We're not nearly as big a deployment as some of the other people we hear from today, but in terms of what we're getting for what we're paying, this is a phenomenal solution. It really is. It's so much cheaper than trying to do it ourselves or buying even the most basic level of some of the other big packages out there. Region select and zoom, I'll talk about these in slightly more detail, but basically our clients can open the map on a specific area. So if you're the member for Fraser, you can open the map on Fraser and it's got it highlighted and they can see their electoral division. It's a nice thing for them to have. Some of the value classification options, we identified that if you're mapping statistical data and there happens to be an SA2 with 100%, it makes it very hard to pick the sort of 29 from the 35% values. So that's some of the conversations we've had. And the ability to hard code colors in CSV, which gives the non-spatial people an extra ability to create a good looking map. If we're only getting one data set across, be it first party preferred vote for the ALP in New South Wales, we can make that data set by SA1 and give every SA1 a color that relates specifically to a value. Send that CSV to a client. When they open that CSV, it will color the map as we intend them to see it. We won't be at the vagaries of automatic coloring, and a lot of these are still in development, but region select zoom, a method in catalogue for predefining these areas. We've got it working for Commonwealth electoral divisions. There's no reason it won't work for any area as long as it's hosted on a WFS server. So if you're interested in capital cities, you create a file of capital cities and it can do the same thing. If you're interested in 25 projects around the country, you can create that file and do it the same way. There's a standard item in the data catalogue that enables you to do this. And when you do this and you click the share data, it includes that layer as the default for that map. So even if you use that as your base, as your entry point, it just gives you a little bit more customization. Classification options, I talked about linear options, some slightly better options. There's things that we're talking about and we're trying to work out what the most feasible way of doing this is, but it'll benefit a lot of people. The smaller the scale goes, the more spread the values get. It'll just, we've seen it with a couple of data sets, and it's not particularly easy to figure out sort of the difference between two neighbouring suburbs. If one's got 35% or something, one's got 28%. If you've got a massive outlier, it looks like sort of a nice pastel-y shade. You're not really sure where you're going. Another thing that will help our clients sort of readily comprehend our data. Hard-coding the colours, it's optional. You don't have to do it. If you're not comfortable typing hexadecimal into spreadsheets, then you're not my friend. I just know the hex. It's off the top of my head. But it's useful in a few situations, and for us particularly where colours mean something. This specific shade of red means something specific. This specific shade of green isn't to be confused with that shade of green because they're very different parties. And sometimes people want a finer grain, and if you can trust yourself to create those finer grains, it's something that we're able to use. It'll reduce the file transfer size. Before we'd have to make a KML file, color a KML file, email a KML file to someone, and each time you're doing that, it's a 3 or a 4 megabyte transfer, and our trim overlords hate us. If you can send them a CSV file, it's much easier. It's much simpler. It's easier to store from a records management point of view. It's easier for the client to modify, to look at the raw data. Easy to implement. It doesn't require mapping skills, which technically may make us redundant, but there's so many other things we can focus our time on, and making better data sets and making better data rather than pumping out the same maps week after week after week. So there are a lot of things that those are some of the things that we've talked about with Nictor about getting done, and they will be publicly available in the coming months. And we'll happily sort of talk to people and discuss how to use them. There'll be documentation around them and everything. So it's a small scale implementation than most of the other people here. We like its compatibility with NationalMap. We want to drive people back from the look and feel of ParlMap into NationalMap for use outside of Parliament. If they're departmental liaison officers that go back into their departments, or if they move on from Parliament House and go to somewhere else, they can take that knowledge with them. Obviously, the data sets we create for clients will work as a GeoJSON. We're benefiting from the other project's investment in this platform, and hopefully other people will benefit from our investment in this platform. And we're very keen to participate in these user forums, in these discussions, to help get more features up there, more adoption, and innovate sort of greater, faster, stronger into the future. And I think that's me, and I think I've even made my cue without being nodded out.